Welcome to Shoot the Defence, brought to you by the FNX Network and My Sportswear. I'm your host, Stel, and I've got four superb guests on this evening. I have Mark Meredith, all the way from Texas. I have Louis Costa, the Spurs fan. I've got Chigstar, the star of Chigstar Football TV on YouTube, and also Steve Wraith. Gents, great to have you guys on. How's things?
All good, thanks, Stel.
All good, mate.
Not bad, not bad.
Great to have you guys all on. Now, it's been a great 7 days if you're a Newcastle fan. First, the Geordie Seal promotion back to the Premier League on Saturday, and Sunderland's relegation was confirmed on Saturday. Although we basically said the moment Ellis Short put David Moyes at the top of his shortlist of managers to succeed Big Sam, that Sunderland were basically done. And Steve, as a Newcastle fan, you know, Rafa Benitez and everyone involved at the club deserve a lot of credit for getting the club promoted at the first attempt. You must be over the moon.
Yeah, it's been a weird season as a Newcastle United supporter because, you know, the relegation was hard to take. We deserved it. The change in manager came a little too late. Steve McLaren's inadequacies and were there for all to see. It had been on the slide though previous to that with Alan Pardew. You know, John Carver came in, managed to keep Newcastle up in the last game of the season, the previous season. Steve McLaren came in with a new blueprint for success and was a complete embarrassment. And unfortunately, Rafa came in too late. So this season was always about one goal, and that was to get promoted. The biggest signing Newcastle United made was getting Rafa Benitez to stay, and the fans who are often mocked on social media, time and time again for at least being unrealistic, were were praised by Rafa, and the reason that Rafa stayed because they made him feel welcome. The people pleaded for him to stay really, and he stayed. And I think a lot of people were very surprised at that. And there's no doubt about it that that was the biggest signing Newcastle made last summer, and that season's back in the Premier League. Bouncing back at the first attempt, which is important as a football fan because you do want to see your team playing against the best teams. In the league. The Premier League is the best league. You want to be competing in that, but it's also important from a business aspect, which this game is all about. Sadly now, and Newcastle would have really suffered had they not gone up at the first attempt. With the way that the parachute payments are set up now, Newcastle would have considerably less next season if it stayed down in the Championship, and it could have seen us going down a similar avenue to maybe Leeds or Birmingham or many of the other teams who consider themselves bigger clubs who've gone on to struggle year after year. So we've got to count ourselves very lucky that we persuaded Rafa to stay, but also that we've bounced back at the first attempt. So yeah, very, very happy. And just got to enjoy the moment and hopefully Sunday sees us clinch that Championship trophy.
And I guess a lot of credit has to go to Benitez for working with what he had. I mean, from as far as I'm aware, he wasn't given the funds in January that he requested, and to work with the squad that he had at the time or still had throughout the season, and to get them promoted at the first attempt, you said, is nothing short of a miracle.
I mean, he did his homework in the summer. Obviously, Mike Ashley, and Lee Charnley obviously backed Benitez in the summer. He pulled up what I would say is a minor miracle of persuading anybody to buy Sissoko. I still shake my head in disbelief at the fact that we managed to get £30 million for that player. Likewise, Ronaldo, that's fared slightly better at Liverpool. But again, Ronaldo, basically, when he played for Newcastle in the relegation season, flattered to deceive. He talked a good game, but the guy didn't turn up, on numerous occasions, and he was guilty on all charges of impersonating a footballer. So to get, the 50 million for those two players collectively, and then, go out and do the business that we did and persuade, fringe Premier League players to take another with a drop into the Championship, or players who maybe got a team promoted and get them to take a drop into the Championship was, was a great bit of business. And rest assured, the players that he selected, the likes of Matt Ritchie, in particular Hayden, who we brought in from Arsenal, and of course Dwight Gale, who did so well in 3 quarters of the season that he wasn't injured by banging in over 20 goals. First person to do so since Alan Shearer in a black and white shirt. He really made some good signings. Not everything that he signed, not every player that he signed was a gold nugget. There was a few duffers in there, and those players that haven't really featured. And you're not always gonna strike gold. But January, as you say, Stel, he wasn't given any money to spend, and that, as we know, is what our owner likes to do. He likes to have a gamble. He likes to roll the dice, and he obviously thought that the squad that we had was big enough and good enough to get promoted. He thought that he'd obviously invested enough in the playing side in the summer to get us promoted, and it almost came back to bite us on the backside, because like everybody, you struggle to maintain, a full squad throughout the season. There's that many games. Newcastle had a good little run in the League Cup as well at the start of the season, which adds to the pressure. Unfortunately, we lost key players at key times, but it didn't seem to affect us. And those players who came in did the job. And I think for me, one of the shining stars was Kieran Clark. He was brought in as cover, really. We signed Grant Handley. You expected him to be featuring, being an ever-present for Blackburn in the previous season, to be featuring quite heavily. He couldn't get in the team. Lascelles, obviously given the captaincy, was given centre half, one of the centre half bursts. But Kieran Clark came in and he really, really played well. He's been a bit of an unsung hero for us. Matt Ritchie, of course, scoring. He averages 15 goals, 16 goals a season in the Championship, and he did the same again for us this year. Paul Dummett, again, somebody who you look at and think, well, he's not everyone's cup of tea, but he's just a solid defender. He's played well. As I mentioned, Dwight Gale, scoring the goals. So there's been a lot of plus points. It's been, it's been a good season. I wouldn't say it's been a brilliant season, but it's the job in hand at the start of the season was to get promoted, and that's what Rafa delivered. So let's just hope he gets something to celebrate. It would be nice to see Rafa, carrying a trophy, albeit the Championship trophy around the pitch on Sunday, because if anybody deserves it, he does.
Steve, how many players do you think you guys need to stay up next season? Because, as you said, it's a thin squad, doesn't have that much experience when it comes to the top level football. Obviously, Tim Krul's coming back, which is going to be a big bonus to you guys. But what about the squad for next season?
I think most Newcastle fans are agreed, and I think most neutrals who, like to comment on Newcastle United are agreed that there needs to be serious investment just to stand still. The figure bandied around at the moment is 100 million to stand still. I think 150 million has been mentioned by some people, but we've just been promoted back to the Premier League. We're fairly confident that if we can again persuade Rafa to stay. He does have a contract. Contracts don't mean anything in this day and age, but he's got to be persuaded to stay, because Rafa Benitez isn't going to risk his reputation by staying here and not being given any money to invest in the playing squad. So the first thing first is for Mike Ashley to sit down with Rafa and explain exactly what his view for the future is now at the back of the Premier League. After that, it needs major surgery. We've only got, I would say, 4 players who are capable of playing on a regular basis in the Premier League, and I wouldn't be surprised next season if to have the likes of Kieran Clark, Matt Ritchie, Joe Shelby, and Dwight Gale all feature in a Rafa Benitez side on more than one occasion next year. After that, I think he'd be struggling. I think Hayden has proved himself a competent Championship central midfielder. He will certainly get the opportunity next season to try out in the Premier League and see what he can do. Paul Dummett, as I've already said, is a steady defender. Would he be your first choice left back? If you can bring somebody else in, I doubt it. But then you've got the likes of Gouffran, and Anita, who are out of contract, so you don't expect them, their contracts to be renewed. I haven't, me personally, I haven't been excited by the Army. I don't think he brings anything to the team, and I don't think he can play alongside Shelby. Mitrovic, of course, he's got a great song, but many of the Newcastle fans that I know, wouldn't help him out if he was on fire. So I think it's a strange pre-season, this one, because we do need major investment, and I just think we just need the uncertainty nipped in the bud straight away. We need Mike Ashley to say that he's going to invest, and he's going to give Mike Ashley complete. He's going to give Rafa Benitez complete control over football affairs. We all thought that was what he had, but in January we saw a different scenario, and I think that's the one thing that Rafa's going to want clearing up. You mentioned Tim Krul coming back. Tim, of course, great keeper, but ended up with a serious injury. And looking at what Rafa Benitez does, if he does get the opportunity to do what he did at previous clubs, he tends to strengthen the back. He likes to build. A decent back four. It wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if he brought a new keeper in, a more experienced keeper, somebody who he can trust. Can he trust the keepers who he's got at the moment? I'm not sure. I also think he would probably rip the back four up and start again, because with the exception of Kieran Clark, Jamal Lascelles is obviously out now until the pre-season with hernia operation imminent. He says he's been carrying that for some time now. But is Jamal Lascelles a Premier League centre half? I mean, he's not tested, and Rafa does build from the back. He does build a strong back four with a goalkeeper we can rely on, and I think most of the major surgery will be done there. I think then after that he will certainly need to look at a winger. I don't think he'll sign Atsu. Atsu hasn't produced, on a regular basis. He hasn't featured a great deal in the Championship team. So, when you look at his Premier League record when he's been out on loan, he hasn't featured greatly. So, I don't think we'll spend money on Atsu. I wouldn't be surprised to see a move for Andros Townsend again. I think Andros Townsend fully enjoyed his time at Newcastle. He loved playing at the stadium, loved the fans, and he loves Rafa Benitez. And I could see a move for Townsend being resurrected. But with regards to the rest of the team, certainly another midfielder is a necessity. And possibly two, and another striker, maybe two strikers, because Dwight Gale can't do it all on his own. He is injury prone. He did okay in the Premier League in the past, but yourself in the Premier League, you need more than one person up front sticking the ball in the back of the net. So it is major surgery. It's money that needs to be spent, and the only person who's going to release the purse strings is Mike Ashley. So it's a big couple of weeks once that final whistle goes, and whatever happens on Sunday. The big questions need to be answered, and the sooner the better. I think Rafa will get the answers that he wants. And then it'll be up to him to spend the money wisely, which, the saying up here is in Rafa we trust. Well, we certainly do. We just got to hope that, Mike Ashley trusts Rafa.
And on a final note, Steve, what of Sunderland then? Because there's so many questions surrounding the club's future. It just seems like they'll struggle next season. What do you think?
Sunderland Football Club are in a mess. As a Newcastle fan, you expect me to revel in it. I don't really revel in it. It's, you get to a certain age and you grow up, don't you? So I mean, it's I've seen with interest all the banter that's flying around, and the fact that someone has booked a plane to fly over the stadium. It's amusing. They did it the worst when we went down last season, and I think the guy who's organised this flyover this time, and he deserves a lot of praise. He's any money that goes into this project is then going to the young Bradley Lowry and another charity in Newcastle. So I think something was a mockery of us last year has been turned into a positive, and I believe that the current totals at about 4,500 to go to the charities, which is remarkable work. But getting back to the football, I think Sunderland are very much in a position that Newcastle were in. Not the last time we were relegated, but the time before that. And the 2008-2009 season when Newcastle, Sunderland, and Middlesbrough could have all gone down together. They were the three of them were in the bottom four, and it was going down into the last couple of games. Newcastle eventually went down with a whimper with Alan Shearer as manager, and we had a lot of aging players who were on huge salaries, and the wage bill was horrendous, and it was the situation that Mike Ashley essentially gained from the previous owners. So Sunderland are in a very similar position. They're not taking enough money in. They're paying 80% of their finances out. They've got a manager there who, by all accounts, the fans don't like. But are they going to be able to get rid of him? Or is he prepared to walk and walk out now? And I think it's going to be a struggle for them. I can't imagine, having just been promoted from that division ourselves, I can't imagine, Sunderland, having it easy. It's not an easy division to get out of. The first thing they have to do is have to sort out the wheat from the chaff. They have to decide who is going to stay and who is going to go. If they could persuade Jermaine Defoe to stay for one season in the Championship, because he seems in love with the area, that would be a bonus for them. But it looks as if they're going to have to cash in on him. They're going to have to cash in on the goalkeeper, who's done remarkably well. Probably one or two others, and then they're going to have to sit down and work out who's up for the challenge and who isn't. They're going to have to reduce the wage bill. And they're going to have to take a serious look at what they do. But there's some great teams in that league, and that league gets more and more, gets tighter and tighter each season. And you can't imagine Norwich and Aston Villa having as bad a season as they had this season. You can see them bouncing back. Leeds United, again, whoever doesn't get through in the playoffs is going to be there again. There's some great teams, whether it's Huddersfield or Sheffield Wednesday or whatever. There's Birmingham, Preston. There's so many teams in there that can cause an upset, and there's always a dark horse coming through. So it's a tough league, and I wasn't looking forward to the season this season, and I think Sunderland fans are really going to suffer, first before things turn out better for them. But wish them luck and hope they do bounce back at the first attempt, because I'm sick of hearing all these Macklams go on about 6 in a row. It'd be nice to have a derby game sooner rather than later and get one over the old NBA game, because it's been quite a while that we've managed to taste a victory.
Absolutely. Well, Steve, thank you ever so much for your time, mate. Before we let you go, would you like to tell our listeners about some of the events you have lined up in the coming weeks?
Yeah, we've had some great events already this year. I'm lucky enough to bring Floyd Mayweather over to England and to Newcastle in particular, but we've got Tony Bellew coming up here to talk about his recent win against David Hay. That's on the 14th of May at the Lancaster in Sweden Dunstan. And a couple, big event close to me heart. We've got the Pavel Srnicek Cup, which is on the 9th of July, and that's obviously an annual event that we do for St Oswald's Hospice charity. In the name of Pavel Srnicek, and we've got a few of the ex-Newcastle players coming along to play on that day. We've got Peter Beardsley, we've got Steve Harper, Steve Howie, Darren Peacock, Keith Gillespie, all having a run out on that particular day. And as I say, all the proceeds for that go to St Oswald's Hospice. So, all of our events are advertised on the website, newcastlelegends.com. If anybody wants to take a look and come along and support the event.
Fantastic. Well, Steve, thank you ever so much for your time, mate. Great having you on, and we'll speak to you soon.
Good stuff. All the best for the summer. Enjoy this summer, and look forward to speaking next season. So, cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate. All the best. Take care now.
Bye, lads.
See you, mate.
Bye.
So, Steve Wraith, top bloke. Well, gents, Sunday, 13th of April, it's gone down as some sort of historical event in North London, in the sense that St Tottenham's Day is cancelled. Tottenham's 2-0 win over Arsenal meant they'll finish above their South London rivals for the first time in over 20 years. And yes, I said South London. Louis, just for you, mate. Mate, listen, it was a slow start to the game, but once it got going, I could only see there being one winner. The only reason I say this is because Spurs look sharper, they're a little more comfortable on the ball, and they took their chances. What's your non-biased take on the performance?
Shut up, man. I would say we didn't get out of second gear. Personally,
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it was very routine. They didn't seem to want it. There was a lot of I would say players on the other side of the other side wearing red shirts that just didn't seem bothered. I think the only player that seemed bothered, that looked like he seemed bothered, was Petr Cech, and he's the one that kept Arsenal in the game and kept the score respectable. Realistically.
Right.
Sorry, Chig.
Well, this was a much more physical display from the Spurs. I mean, perhaps they heard Rodri's comments about Arsenal being soft. I mean, there was nothing Spursy about this performance, was it, mate?
No, I think, they come out. It's a derby, isn't it, Stal? And it takes it out a little bit, in any derby that you fear to lose, but you love to win it as well. So they come out with, I think, a game plan that they see Chelsea have won and just 30 minutes before them. They know they need to win again. So, they come out physically, and I agree a little bit that Arsenal didn't look like the team they looked like when they played in the FA Cup semi-final the week before. Looked like a totally different outfit, and yeah, to me, Spurs were the better team throughout. And like you say, it wasn't an ideal or a similar, performance that they usually get, but they battled and got the win.
And Chris, I know a lot of Arsenal fans felt the FA Cup win against Man City was merely papering over the cracks, mate. I mean, this Arsenal team, and we've spoken about this several times, especially on your show, is absolutely nothing like the great ones that Wenger's created in the past. But there's so much wrong with the squad at the moment, isn't there, mate?
Yeah. To be honest, it really just comes down to the fact that the mentality is so weak. It's so weak. And if there was anything that illustrates, Tottenham have beaten us before. That's, and something I've said is that losing, but lose like you're worth a damn. Go down swinging. Right. Like I'll give you a really good example. Klitschko, right? I'm sure most of your listeners out there would have watched that boxing match on the weekend, right? And a lot of people were thinking, AJ would blow him over in a couple of rounds. I thought, you guys are disrespecting Vladimir Klitschko right now. Just because he's 41 doesn't mean he's going to get blown over in a couple of rounds. And the fight was fantastic. And you know what? There's no shame to lose a fight like that. Where is there any shame? That fight was fantastic. He said, you know what? If you're going to beat me, you're going to have to kill me. I'm going to go down swinging. And fair play to him. He went down swinging. What did they getting inspiration by that performance? They literally just bent over and said, Harry Kane, why don't you mosey on through? And that is our story of our season. I genuinely don't understand why when in our history that changed. You went from your likes of your Vieiras from your Adams to your Vieiras, even the years where we didn't win anything, right? My gosh, against Tottenham at least, you'll turn it up. But now, somehow, it's getting worse. And this is what frustrates so many fans about Arsene Wenger, because with every day by the situation, you're going to get abject performances like that. Like me and you, Stel, had this Twitter exchange today where you were convinced if we don't annihilate you guys in the weekend, then we're absolutely useless. I bet you right now we lose that game.
I've already put a wager with someone, so I'm not prepared to lose more money.
We will lose that game because, to me, there's no way Jose will lose potentially his final match against Wenger. And secondly, the team is so devoid of any guts that all we'll do is we'll just bend over and get absolutely drilled. And like Louis said, listen, I was gritting my teeth when he was gloating and laughing and joking about the fact that Arsenal that Tottenham went in second gear. Trust me, they were in first gear the entire game.
Yeah, see, still.
They were in first gear the entire game. I watched it and I just laughed. I wasn't even hurt. I just laughed. I laughed. When the goals went in, I laughed. And fair play to Czech. Czech is the only one that could have held his head up high. Even though the man has literally the most useless penalty saver in the world. But ultimately, Tottenham, from the minute they kicked off, always looked like they were going to win. It didn't even look close.
I think the only save, I mean, I missed quite a bit because I was going from pub to pub because I didn't have a ticket. And I was pretty drunk at the time. I think the only save, correct me if I'm wrong here, Chris, the only save Lloris made was the Walcott chance on like 86 minutes. I don't remember another save before that. Am I wrong?
That Lloris made, you mean?
Yeah. You know,
yeah, because Ramsey's shot in the first half went over, I believe.
Oh no! Okay, the Ramsey one and Walcott. I don't remember. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I don't remember them.
We didn't win it. We didn't win it.
So relaxed.
And oh gosh, and this I'm not being funny. And I even referenced Stel in my preview because I said, forget top four. This is a chance to make sure that Tottenham don't win the league. If you can't get up for that, then you might as well just forget about it. And the fact that they just literally let them mosey through and just said, all right, go on, have a run at it, is an utter disgrace. And I could just imagine Stel, when he was watching that preview, thinking, blimey, isn't that really bad that you're now getting up for this game just to make sure that another team doesn't win the league? Yeah. We are where we are. This is a horrendous season. We are the Chelsea of season.
But Chris, I remember coming on your show and I said the last run of games that you have is going to determine which players stay at Arsenal next season or which players leave. And
honestly, get rid of them all.
Well, see, this is what I'm saying.
Get rid of them all.
This is what I'm saying.
I'm at that point where even with Sanchez, right? He hasn't turned up the last 3-4 games. People won't like me saying it. People will think to myself, Chig, what are you saying? If you don't want to be there, leave. It's your Sanchez. It's the same thing like Ozil. I hear people all the time. People are upset to our Arsenal fans say, oh, well, I think Ozil's getting unfair treatment. Why? The man is a world-class player who kind of turns up sort of. I'd rather a youngster that will at least put in maximum effort than a supposed world-class player that turns up kind of, sort of, half of the time.
Can I say one quick thing? You say that you're the Chelsea of this season, right? Chelsea had an awful season last season.
Yeah.
They had Diego Costa. I can't stand any of them. Right? I think they're all beat this out arseholes. Costa, they had Eden Hazard, which is arguably one of the best midfielders in the world football right now. Courtois, who's also one of the best goalkeepers in the world right now, could be in that bracket. Cahill, who's he's a decent defender. You always knew that Chelsea were going to come back this season after and really kick on. It was expected, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see Arsenal doing that.
The only way, and you're right, Louis, but the only way that will happen is the thing I'm praying for every single day, and that's Wenger leaving. I truly believe.
And also another time as well. Right, all right. We cuss him down, and he's the butt of many of my jokes. Arsene Wenger, right? But
he's the butt of Arsenal for jokes at the moment.
Yeah. Take the Liverpool game. When he dropped Sanchez in the Liverpool game, first half.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Sanchez is he strikes me as the type of player that is the type of person that will. He engineered it all. He had the argument with Wenger supposedly on the training ground there, the bust up, and all the false handshakes a couple of days later, all that rubbish, right? So he's engineered this argument. I don't want to play here. I'm not interested. He's argued with half the team, right? Arsene Wenger's benched him, which he is within his 100% right to do that, yeah? He's the manager. You play for the team. Get out. When he was warming up to come on, all the Arsenal fans were going singing that Alexis Sanchez song, and he's clapping them.
But that's what.
To myself, you absolute arsehole.
Yeah.
You've engineered this, and now you're coming off as the hero because you're the professional footballer, and he just wants to play. I reckon he engineered the whole thing. He don't want to play there. I reckon he's an awful bad seed in the dressing room, right? And I think the sooner you get rid of him, maybe you can crack on.
Let me just be real with you guys. So many people are up Alexis Sanchez asked for two reasons. One, he is an absolute workhorse.
Yeah.
And two, we're so devoid of world-class players that we're trying to make excuses for the very few ones we have. That's why you have people like Mesut Ozil, and people are singing his praises. Listen, really and truthfully, right? All right, Mesut Ozil gets a lot more assists and pre-assists than Ramsey. Strip that away. What does he really do in a game?
He does F all, man.
What does he really do in a game? And someone might say to yourself, well, assists are important. Assists can be anything. Assist can be a sideways pass. Assist can be a deflection that happened to come off me. People overrate his influence in a game. He doesn't influence a game.
There's a picture, Chris, of Kane taking a penalty. It's doing its rounds on Twitter.
Is this one with Dele?
Kane's taking a penalty.
Pounce.
He's ready to pounce, Dele. And what's Ozil doing? He's got his hands on his hips and he's looking up at the sky.
And that's the thing.
Man.
If you see our supposed world-class players either sulking like Alexis or sulk or slope or doing whatever it is that Ozil does whenever he doesn't have the ball, if you're looking at that, why am I going to put in effort? Why?
Well, gents, let's quickly go into our bite back section, because this is where we're going to get a bit more interesting. I mean, I've basically put a question on our Facebook group page and on Twitter and even on the Sofa Sports group page. And, shout out to Harry and the lads over at Sofa Sports News, by the way. I mean, check out their show on SoundCloud and iTunes. You won't be disappointed. Now, the question was, has the balance of power in North London shifted from Arsenal to Spurs? We've got a lot of reaction. I'll read you the reactions first, and you guys tell me what you guys think. I've got Stel saying, Spurs have certainly reduced the gap in recent years and have obviously been the far better team this season and rightfully should be enjoying their current state at the club. However, for a true power shift, if you buy into that sort of term, would require a league title to be won by Spurs to truly cement any sort of change in the stature compared to Arsenal. Now, Lucius, as a United fan, says a team is only as good as their last few results. So in that case, yes, Spurs have taken over somewhat. Wenger gets a new contract, and I'll be shocked if Arsenal do much of a note in the next few years.
Was that a United fan that said that? I'm going to come back to that. I've got a good rebuttal for that.
Yep. He's saying Poch is proving to be a phenomenon. He takes youth team products and gets them playing his brand of football. He gets some money this summer, and I'd not be surprised if they win the title sooner rather than later. Now, over in the Sofa Sports News, I've got an Arsenal fan and a Spurs fan responding. Harry, the host, says simply no. The power shift does not cover one season. For all the good football Spurs have played, what do they have to show for it? Absolutely nothing. This is not me talking as a bitter Arsenal fan. I'd be saying the same thing if it was us. However, Rob Palmer, the Spurs fan, says no. If Spurs finish above Arsenal next season by a significant points margin, then I would say yes. By that point, we'll be moving into the new stadium. We'll have likely qualified for the Champions League for a third season. Really, for Spurs, it comes down to keeping our players, but more importantly, keeping our manager. I think it's fair for most to doubt that it will happen. My optimism comes from feeling that Poch would enjoy being at a club where the players and owners have more power than he does. Interesting.
Louis, do you want to go first?
We're nowhere near a power shift. Come on, man. I mean, I personally, this is not me being biased, I think maybe 4 or 5 seasons out of the last 6 or 7, we've been the better team. Yeah. You know, when Arsenal got 4th place, when we were battling for 4th place, they won at West Brom and all that rubbish. So they went to Newcastle and won at Newcastle. They had a crazy run, like they won the last 8 games or something. But I think during the season, I thought we were a better team. When you're talking about power shift, you're talking about dominance, right? And that's what, unfortunately, Woolwich done about 10 years ago. Dominating everyone, right? So, no, there's no power shift. There's no power balance. I didn't celebrate. I didn't, go too mad because it's whatever. This season, we've absolutely annihilated them, yeah, on and off the pitch. But power shift, not in a million years.
Mark, what do you reckon?
I'm the same. I think, Stal. I would go with Arsenal still being the bigger of the 2 clubs. The success over the years and the team they have been. It's actually disappointing to see the way Arsenal are dropping the last few years. But it's the same with us, with Birmingham and Villa. We went into the Premier League a couple of seasons ago, and Villa could never beat us. It was win after win for us, but you still knew who the bigger club was out of the 2. And again, this season, Villa have really struggled in the Championship to even go anywhere near getting promoted again. I know we're having a bad season as well, but they still have the bigger club status, and I just don't know how that shifts and when it shifts. And I think that's the same with the Arsenal and Tottenham situation as well.
Mm. And Chris, what do you reckon?
Can I? Sorry, Chris. Sorry, man.
Go on.
You can answer in 2 seconds. I just want to ask Stel one thing, and then Stel answer after Chris has answered. Apologies, mate. When you won the 19th title, Stel, United,
19th or 20th,
the champion, the 19th, the when you beat Liverpool's record.
Okay.
Yeah? They've won 18, haven't they?
Yeah.
Titles.
Yeah.
Was that the year that you said, yes, the tables have turned now? So
no.
Think about it. Right. Think about it. Go on, Chris. No. Sorry, mate.
Okay. First of all, to the United fan that brought up that, you of all people should know better. Asking, have City overtaken United because they finished above you a couple of times? No. United are a much bigger club than City. Let's be honest. We like taking the mick as Arsenal fans about saying United are the number 2 team in Manchester. But if we're being honest, they are still the biggest club in the world, if we're being honest. And it's the same thing in North London. Listen, Tottenham have done well. I'll eat my humble pie because I came on here on your show and I said it would never happen. It would never happen that Tottenham will finish above us.
He definitely said
that. I did not look at Louis. I did not foresee. I did not foresee us dropping off the way we have, and I must admit, as much as I feel sick even saying this, Tottenham have done really well, to the point where it's actually got me worried that they're actually getting brave about thinking like they can win the league or something, and that worries me. But they have a fantastic man. I don't hate Pochettino. I think he's a talented manager. The sooner Man United poach him, the better. The sooner Harry Kane leaves you guys, the better. Because you're a feeder club for United. You know this. You know this already.
Oh, cool. Was.
Whatever. So yeah, I think if Tottenham win a couple of leagues, I know some people say, wait for Tottenham to go and beat in a season. Oh, people, come on now. It's not going to happen again.
Clutching at straws, those insults, mate. Clutching at straws, those comments.
Yeah, exactly. Tottenham win a couple of leagues again. Again, they won it once. then have this conversation again. They've broken our record. They've broken our streak for one season. It won't happen next season. You hear me, Louis? It ain't happening next season. I'm going to get rid of this old man.
Still, save this soundbite for God's sake.
Save it. Save it.
Lost the last one. Save this soundbite.
Save it. Feel free to save it. It ain't happening again.
There you go. Well, 63% of our voters on the poll on Shoot the Defense on Twitter said yes to there being a balance of power shift. So, there you go.
Because they all hate Arsenal fan TV. I know, I get it.
Oh, mate, they are. They've ruined your club. Seriously, they've ruined your club.
Let's not talk about them. Let's not talk about them.
Yeah. Right, Stell, go on. Answer that question. Right, okay, so you've won how many European Cups? 3, yeah?
3, yeah.
Right, Liverpool have won 5.
Yeah.
Granted, they won them all in the 70s and 80s, right? Liverpool have won 18 league titles. You've won what, 20 now?
21, yeah.
21?
No, 20. 20.
Right, so when you beat Liverpool's record, the whole champions with the 19, with the I and the O, yeah, you know the year I'm talking about, right? Did you then say we are bigger than Liverpool?
Do you know what? When I hear people say, "Oh, you know, which club is bigger?" I don't just go by trophies. I go by fan base. I go by market value and everything like that. Personally, I felt that we were overtaking Liverpool when we won back-to-back league titles, 92, 93 and 93, 94, because that's when Liverpool were on the wane. I mean, they had players like Mark Walters and Graham Souness was manager, and then they kept changing managers, and that's when you knew that they were slipping down and we were catching up. I didn't think I'd see United ever win a league title in my lifetime. You know, I was supporting United from like '86, so I didn't really know anything about winning titles. You know, my first experience was winning the FA Cup in 1990 and then this cup in 91. So winning a league title, I didn't think would ever happen, especially when we blew it in 92 when Leeds won it. So again, I didn't ever think we'd ever win a league title in my lifetime, but obviously I've seen quite a few of them now. So I can't say that, I knew. I think in 93, 94, we won back-to-back. That's when I kind of knew that the tide was turning. But again, in football, you never know what's around the corner. Chelsea were 5 minutes away becoming extinct. And then Abramovich saw their stadium and thought, I like this. The next thing you know, they're winning league titles in Champions League. So with football, you never know.
I'm not being funny, though. It's Liverpool fans are deluded. I think they're a bigger club than United. And that's coming from an Arsenal fan. Let's just be real.
But the reason why I'm asking this is because a lot of Arsenal fans are classing it as trophies. Trophies won. You lot have won 13 league titles, for God's sake. All right, granted, fucking 10 of them were in the 1930s, right? But what I'm trying to say is did United fans, Paul's record, did they then say we are bigger than Liverpool? Because I've always thought United are the biggest team. Even in the mid-90s, I thought they were the biggest.
Shall I be honest? This is me being honest with you guys. The only thing that makes United bigger than Liverpool is the financial clout. And that's only because in the early 90s, when the Premier League was formed, United did what Liverpool didn't, and that was boost their marketing power. You know, they exploited different avenues in terms of a commercial sense. And Rick Parry didn't do that at Liverpool. And that's why they languished behind. Personally, I think if Liverpool had the same marketing values as United did, they'd still be dominating now. Personally, that's what I think anyway.
Okay.
Anyway.
Brilliant. Fair enough.
Anyway. Well, look, let me quickly move on to, I was going to talk about United and Liverpool, really. You know, you got the race for top 4. Both of the Manchester clubs are doing their best not to get a Champions League spot, drawing at the weekend. Emre Can did his best FIFA 17 wonder goal impression, and Liverpool beat Watford 1-0. Arguably, they're the favourites for third place now. Mark, talk about the Swansea United game. I mean, Swansea were unlucky not to come away with all 3 points, man. I mean, Paul Clement clearly saw United was suffering from fatigue and played a really fast, high-pressing game to force them into making mistakes. He did his homework, didn't he?
He certainly did, Stal. Yeah, I think he's been watching the Man United get a few injuries and have a little bit of a change in their team over the last couple of weeks, and I think he went there under no pressure that everybody thought it was going to be a United win, and he's probably said to his players, just enjoy the occasion. If we can grab 1 or 3 points, then it's a bonus for us in our relegation fight. But when they put themselves into the game, we talk about things week in, week out about players cheating and things like that. And for me, Rashford as a young forward, unfortunately cheated on Saturday and got that penalty where if you watch it over and over again, you can see that he went down on purpose to win it. So it's a difficult thing. I know there's a lot of talk about it over here on the TV about players should be getting banned for things like that. But to be fair to Swansea, they took it. They went 1-0 down, and then they played again and they fought a way through. And what an excellent free kick at the end to grab a draw.
Absolutely. Well, let's quickly move on to our in other news section, which is pretty new to us. 10-man Birmingham beating understrength Huddersfield 2-0 to keep their survival hopes alive. And Mark, you're a Birmingham fan, and the fate of the club is still in the players' hands. So Forest are at home to Ipswich on the final day, while Blackburn travel to Brentford. Both teams have to win to stand a chance to stay up, although they're both facing sides with nothing to play for. So it's up to you to get a result at Bristol City. Are you confident?
Yeah, I'm still on the walk, Stal, because it's a difficult one. I think 3 weeks ago, just before we played Villa, we were in a bad situation under Zola, and he left, and obviously Redknapp came in, but there hasn't been really any change. We've always been 2 points ahead of everybody, and it seems like if we win a game or draw a game, the other teams do as well. So it was always going to go down to the last game. We can talk about Brentford and Ipswich not having nothing to play for, but it's the same now with Bristol as well. They got a great result against Brighton last weekend, which put them safe. And we don't know if that's a bonus for us or not, because going to win at the team that's trying to win the championship at home in front of their fans is a great result for Bristol. I'm just hoping that that's taken a bit of steam out of what they have now and they relax into the last game.
Absolutely.
We're totally full of confidence out there now. We've got a new manager in. The players are playing again. It's amazing that our captain has been injured for the last 6 weeks under Zola, and as soon as Zola gets fired, he's fit to play again. So that's something that must have happened behind closed doors, but he's back, and Michael Morrison comes in there centre half and adds a little bit more with Ryan Shotton. So, we go into the game full of confidence after a good win on Saturday, but it's still all to play for. We know if we get a win, we're done. We know if we match any of the other two results, we're there as well. But I've watched Birmingham for so long that I know that he could still be right to the end. 4 seasons ago away at Bolton when Caddis scored with one of the last kicks of the game to keep us up after being 2-0 down. So it's difficult. I'm going to keep on the fence at the minute and just hope, on Sunday that we can be happy ones that are staying up.
Fingers crossed this time next week you have a bigger smile on your face, mate.
Yeah, hopefully, pal.
Well, let's move over to Italy. And Pescara midfielder Sully Montari left the pitch in protest after being booked for complaining about racism. After the game, Montari said, "They were chanting against me from the start. In the first half, I saw there were some children in the group, so I turned to their parents and gave them my shirt to play an example. Issue continued with another group of fans. I was reasoning with them, but then the referee told me I had to go." Now, Montari was booked for talking to the fans, which is absolutely pathetic in my opinion. However, his actions were praised by Del Piero on Twitter, who wrote, "You handle things perfectly. You're setting an example for tomorrow. You did everything right." Even the UN's top human rights official said he was an inspiration. Now, gents, I don't think any one of us feels Montari was wrong to walk off, but surely the referee and the club needs to be punished for this. I mean, Montari received a one-match ban today for his actions, which is ludicrous. What do you think about this thing?
I think it's a disgrace, Dal. I really do. I think, we're trying our best to get racism out of football everywhere. And for somebody to get banned for doing what he did, he's just going against all that for me. I seen it in the Rangers-Celtic game as well on Saturday, where after Scott Sinclair scored his penalty, there was clearly a guy in the crowd there doing the monkey chants to him. So, it's a real difficult one because we're trying as an old organisation to kick this racism out. And things like this that are happening, it's usually, it is usually abroad and not much in England anymore, but it does still happen in England. But when it happens, it should be the club of the supporters that are doing it that should be getting the ban, not the player that's facing it and walking off for his his own safety and his own, obviously, he doesn't want to be out there listening to that crap against him.
Absolutely. Louis, what's your take on the matter?
I think it's disgusting, man. Like, I can't. It's we're in the 21st century, right? 2017, and we've still got this going on. I physically can't. I can't understand it, and I don't think I ever will understand it. I think he should get the highest medal of freedom, Sully Montari, for doing what he did. And I think the clubs that, you know, I agree with Annie. I think the club needs to get a fine. Whoever the supporters are, you know, dock them points. Make the supporter who's doing whatever they're doing the most hated man, because that's what he deserves, personally. You know, I'm come from an old school generation where you fight fire with fire. If, you know, one of the Rangers fans are doing the old monkey chant or the old monkey whatever he was doing, dock them points. 10 points, 20 points.
It just seems that, you know, clubs aren't taking the matter serious, and especially the authorities. I mean, I've seen UEFA give Serbian clubs fines of 25 grand. I mean, what is that going to do? My personal opinion, like you said, dock them points, and not just dock them points. Make them play behind closed doors. Yeah. Simple. Don't allow
name and shame them. They're doing whatever they're doing because they want a reaction from the player. Give them a reaction. Name and shame them. Only way. Dock the team points and name and shame them, so that people can say, "Oh, why have we lost? Why have we been docked 10 points? Oh, because Gary Smith done a monkey chant. Oh, what that? Beep. Make him. You know, they're brave enough to do it in front of a crowd.
Yep.
Right. Throw them out. Throw them under the bus. That's my opinion anyway. I think people are too soft, and I think we're living in a generation now where we're trying to. A lot of clubs as well, like this Italian team, they're brushing it under the carpet. If there was no such thing as social media, we would have never have known this had happened.
Absolutely.
You know, it's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
Chris, you still there, mate?
I still am.
Sorry, man.
It's all right.
Rabbling on.
Oh, it's nice to see if Chris is still there. I can't see his icon.
I am. I'm still here.
So you seen the incident, Chris? You heard about it?
Yeah, I have. And you guys kind of stole my thunder a little bit. It really just boils down to what kind of education these football federations have in terms of, really, I think it is a culture attitude. You know, you can't imagine something like that ever happening in the FA and the FA not doing anything. I mean, we all know this type of thing happens in Italy. Let's just be real here. We all know that this happens in certain places in Spain. It happens. Russia is well known for this type of stuff. What was the attitude of the UEFA? Oh, I know. I'll give them a World Cup. What? Like, you're not sending the right message to these type of people. So, unfortunately, it's a perpetuating cycle. It will continue happening until the right people in charge are able to take the right stance by saying, you know what, you did that. We're not only going to fine your club, like Lewis says, come down on them. Make them play behind closed doors. Dock them points. All of a sudden, it might show to some of these ignorant idiots that doing such things like that is not only wrong, it's disgusting. There is no place for something like that in a football game in 2017. There's no place for that in life. Never mind a football game.
The thing is, Chris, out here it's a criminal offence. In other countries, they just sweep, as Louis said, they just sweep it under.
They laugh it off.
Unfortunately, they don't have, equality and inclusion organisations like Kick It Out that are there to create that awareness. I mean, people like Troy Townsend, you know, they're doing their utmost to try and get the message out, to tackle racism and discrimination. And, you know, a poor bloke, I mean, I was seeing his tweets today, and, you know, he sees about Sully Muntari, he sees something that allegedly happened outside White Hart Lane, he mentioned the incident in the Glasgow Derby. It's just a horrible weekend for this, and unfortunately we have to discuss this because it is a major talking point. It is something that hasn't gone away and won't go away unless people are educated on it.
Can I just say one thing?
Surely.
So the White Hart Lane one, I was there. I saw the whole melee going on with Robbie and all that rubbish. I can honestly say, if all of you that know Tottenham High Road, the worst place to do a monkey chant is Tottenham High Road, right?
I will say that, yeah.
I saw it with my own eyes, okay? Now, I also saw the video and how the video was misconstrued. That the fan was singing. It's something we've sung ever since Who Let the Dogs Out come out, right? It's a play on that song. I will definitely say that there was zero racism. What I heard, I know a lot of people that were there that said the same thing. I think that one's been misconstrued personally, and let me tell you, I would be the first person to say that is disgusting. So please don't take it as any bias or anything like that. I was there, so I saw exactly what happened. There was zero racism scenario.
Fair enough. Well, let's move on then. A couple of quick things before we wrap the show up. I'm sure Chris won't like to know this, but Paris Saint-Germain, they lost 3-1 at the weekend, and they were down to 9 men. Now, they're 3 points behind Monaco, but Monaco have a game in hand. And while it's still possible for Paris Saint-Germain to win the title, I can't actually see happy. But Laurent Blanc was sacked last summer because apparently the owners felt their Champions League quarterfinal exit was embarrassing. Now, Blanc actually guided the club to domestic treble last season, while his current boss, Unai Emery, has spent over 120 million euros and delivered only 1 French Cup. I don't think he's going to be there next season, so why should Wenger stay?
Well, exactly. I mean, listen. We're the only club that reward mediocrity. It's as simple as that. And I would be devastated as a fan if, after this season, you know, Wenger's excuses of, it's because of Man City money, it's because of, Chelsea oil money when Leicester won the league last season. And then he started
second.
Then he started throwing the whole, I've qualified for the Champions League every year. It looks like we're missing out on that. Then he started throwing about, Tottenham have never finished above us. Not only are they going to finish above us, he decided to beat us on the weekend just for the F of it. So the way I see it is, if after all of that, I work in HR. Let me put it this way. I work in HR. And at some point, you bring someone in and you do an appraisal with them and you give them some guidance on how they can improve. As a HR person, how can you justify rewarding Wenger a contract after this season? And don't give me the FA Cup. Don't give me that. Because the way we played against Tottenham, we're going to get banged over by Chelsea. More my words, we'll get banged over by Chelsea. So if that happens, as I predict, what on earth does the board justify? How does the board justify giving a man 8.9 million plus, because it'll be a new contract next season? What are they rewarding? What achievement are they justifying that on?
That's a very, very good question, Chris, and one I wanted to pose to Mark, because Paris Saint-Germain, as I said, spent 120 million euros in summer on players, and they're sacking their manager despite him winning the French Cup, whereas Arsenal are happy to keep their manager, even if they don't get a top 4 berth, even if they win just the FA Cup. What does that tell you about the mentalities of both clubs?
I think it's crazy, Stan. I think we've been in the situation this year with Gary Rowett, haven't we? And we spoke about it in length about, You know, being third in the league and sacking Gary Rowett when the new owners come in, and then going into the last game 2 points from the bottom because they bring a new manager in who just doesn't work. And I still think that they wouldn't have got rid of Zola unless he had walked out. So the mentality of them people, just like we've just said, as HR staff, how can you tell me that he has done a successful job? I know in the past he has, but you cannot hang on to that. You know, I'm a coach myself, and people are watching me all the time with my teams. You know, it's a bit different in the States where the parents pay money for the players to come and play with us. But I guarantee you, if I'm not a good coach throughout the season and I don't get what I promise, then next year they're not going to pay me the money to have their kids. They're going to go and find another team. So it's all about that success pattern and what you as the manager should be giving back to the club. And if you don't give that, then like any other job, you shouldn't be in charge.
Fair play. Fair play. Louis, what's your take on the matter?
It's on mute. You're on mute, Louis.
Louis? I think he's muted himself. He's muted himself. All right, fair enough. He doesn't want to tell us his take on the matter. Fine, cool. All right, okay. One more thing before we wrap it up, gents. Now, last week, I'm not sure if you guys heard, but we briefly spoke about the ban imposed by Barnet on Grimsby Town fans taking inflatables to their ground. Now, you'll be pleased to know that the ban didn't dampen Grimsby fans' spirits because they hired the mariachi band and turned up to Barnet wearing sombreros and ponchos. Some even did a conga line behind the goal. I mean, how brilliant is that? Mark, you ever seen anything like that before?
I haven't. You know, we always have fun going. I miss going to the last away game of the season with Birmingham. You know, and you can get into fancy dress, and it's all about just having fun and having a few beers and stuff like that. But you know, we spoke last week's show about the bans on inflatables, and we all laughed that Grimsby are going to go there with nothing. So the idea to get this band together and do what they did, and the video that I seen on Facebook is excellent. And you know, fair play to these guys that have gone out and done that. And for a football fan, you being able to go and have a banter with your friends, regardless of a result, because sometimes I know football for us is a serious game and we want to win all the time, but day out with your pals and with other supporters of your club without a result, and I think that's what Grimsby did. They just went out to enjoy the day, regardless of what went on the field.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Chris, have you seen any strange things going to Arsenal?
Oh gosh, every time I go.
The
manager still being in a job. There you go.
Yeah.
You know us. We got a peculiar lot. So there's always something trying to happen or happening roundabout. Right? And gosh, you just need to do a YouTube search just to see some of the characters we have. So we don't need no mascots in our club. We already have real life ones.
Fair enough. Well, guys, thank you ever so much for agreeing to appear on the show. Unfortunately, Louis got cut off somewhere, but he'll be back on at some point. Mark, do you want to tell our listeners your Twitter handle again? Touch with you.
Yeah, it's Meza0102.
Excellent. And Chris, tell us your Twitter and your YouTube channel, because I didn't introduce it properly. I'm sorry.
That's all right. So Guna Eagle Eye is my YouTube channel. Just type it into YouTube and you'll see my ugly mug. And my Twitter handle is Colossal Chig. That's CHIG. I usually pin my latest episode on. And every now and again I have Stella on, which reminds me I'm going to try and plan to have you on this weekend.
Oh, thank you. But because you want to laugh at me, or
yeah, I was gonna say I'll try and protect you from some of the chat this time. You caused a bit of a riot the last time Stel was on, so yeah.
Fantastic, brilliant. Well, thanks again, mate, for coming. It's been great talking to both of you. I'm going to give you Louis' Twitter handle if you want to get in contact with him. It's at Mr. Louis Costa, and yes, his brother was in blue. Yes, just in case you lot wanted to know. So yes, that's us for this week, guys. Thank you ever so much for tuning in. You can follow us on Twitter at Shoot the Defense. We have a Facebook group page, obviously Shoot Defense. Follow our friends over at the FNX Network at FNX Network and My Sportswear, which is at My Sportswear 1, and Sofa Sports News at Sofa Sports News. And we'll be back very soon. Take care.